Once again, afternoon, folks. This time around, I'm taking you through a Form 2 class on factorizing negative terms and regrouping. Now, in this session, I think what was important to recall is the truth table. When I say truth table, say I've got these operators which happen to come as a combination next to each other. Here I'll alter. These are different possibilities of plus and minus when they are next to each other. Now, what was key to recall is when we have two identical signs, they give an output of a positive. Like these two are identical, it's an output of a positive. The moment they differ, they'll give us a negative. Also, another thing to recall is the same will apply to division. If I divide a positive by positive, the result will be a positive. I divide a negative by negative, the result will be positive. But if I alter the signs where I'm dividing negative by positive, the result is always negative. Or negative divide by positive, still when the signs are not the same, then the result will always be negative. We are also going to be regrouping and simplifying like terms. Terms are like if it happens that they carry the same variable and exponent. I'll give an example of a term. Say, for instance, I have 5x to the power 6, for instance. This 5 we have before the letter, we call it coefficient. And the letter itself is referred to as a variable. Then the small 6 that we'll see on top of the variable, that's an index or an exponent. So that's a typical term that would have in an expression. So if it happens that terms carry the same variable and index, we say they are alike and we are able to manipulate. When I say manipulate, I mean can perform operations like addition and subtraction. So let's see how that works through this worked examples. I've got an expression here, which I believe I'm required to factor out a negative. So what I'll do is I'll target 12 and 8. I know that what I'm factoring is a negative. So I'll look for HCF of 12 and 8, which happens to be 4. Then I've got x here. I don't have x on the second part, so I'm done with the HCF. What do I do with it? I divide the first term, which is negative 12x. If I divide it by negative 4, already I'm dividing negative by negative, it means my result will be positive. And if the positive starts first, we are not allowed to write it. So it's as good as I'm dividing 12 by 4, it will give me positive 3. But remember, there's an x in front. Then now we are on the second part where I'm dividing positive here by negative. So my result is going to be negative. So 8 divided by 4, that's a 2. I have factored out the HCF from that first expression. Now on the second one, same applies. I have got negative 15, negative 30, but I'm interested in factoring the negative. So I'll look for the HCF of 15 and 30, which happens to be 15 itself. Then I open bracket. If I divide minus 15y by 15, the result is positive y, because we agreed when we divide negative by negative, the result is positive. The same will apply on the second part, which is negative 30. If I divide it by negative 15, my result is going to be positive, but it's positive 2. Now, proceeding to the next example. This time around, I've got an expression. Let me rewrite it properly. That's minus 9a squared plus 6a. Now, I put my equal sign to the left. My interest is to factor the negative. So definitely I'll start by putting the negative sign. Then I'll look at 9 and 6 to say what's the HCF there. So the HCF is 3 since both are multiples of 3. Then I'll proceed to say I've got a squared, I've got a. So what's my HCF? When I've got a common variable, I'll take the lower index. And for this case, I don't see the index. It means the index is 1 there. So I've got my HCF. Then I use it to divide both terms. I'll start with the first one, minus 9a squared divided by minus 3a, because I'm going to get a positive. So it's 9 divided by 3, that's 3. A squared divided by a, that's a. Then I'll move to the second where I've got a positive divided by a negative. The result is going to be negative. So when I say 6a divided by 3a, that will be 2. Then proceeding to the next problem where I have, I'll rewrite it again. That's negative 5p negative 10p squared. And my interest here is to factor out a negative. Then I'll be looking at 5 and 10. Let's say, what's the HCF? Fine, it's going to be 5. Then I move to the variables. I've got P, I've got P squared. So we agree that we'll take the smaller power, implying that here it will be a P. Then I open my brackets, I do the division. Minus 5P divided by minus 5P, dividing negative by negative, that will give me a positive 1. Then I'm on the second part again, minus 10P squared divided by minus 5P, well, I'll get a positive 2P. Then I'll be done with that. The next problem, I'll be having an expression, and this expression is 6x plus 9 plus 4x squared plus 6x. So here I want to factor by grouping. And when I say grouping, I've got 4 terms, and I'll do it step by step. I'll start with the ones underlined. I'll look at the HCF of 6 and 9. It will be 3. Then I check the variable. There's only x on the first part, second part there's no x. So I'll then open my bracket, say 6x divided by 3. That will give me 2x. There's a plus, I put my plus. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. I close my bracket. Now on the second part, where I've got 4 and 6, I look for the HCF there. It's going to be positive 2. Then I've got x squared and x. We agree that we take the common variable. Then we go for the lower exponent, which is 1. So we don't write 1. I'll divide the underlined part. That's 4x squared divided by 2x. It will give me 2x. There's a plus. I put my plus here. Then 2x divided by 2x, I get 3. Now, the moment this happens, I'll inspect the contents of the brackets. If they are identical, it means I'm allowed to build 2 sets of brackets. So where in the second bracket, I'll have the common part, which is 2x plus 3. But in the first bracket, well, it's optional. You can have 3 plus 2x, but it's more logical to start with where there is a variable, and then we have a 3. I think we'll be done with our problem. That's the result. Example 6 is similar. We are going to group to say on the first part I have AB and 2B. So it looks like B is common. When I divide AB by B, I get A, plus when I divide 2B by B, I get 2. Then on the second part, it looks like there is nothing to factor there, or it's a 1, because we don't have HCF. So if it's 1, we don't write it. It's good as we just open our bracket and put A plus 2, because we know we are multiplying by 1. Then we will build 2 brackets, because the rule says whenever we have brackets carrying the same thing, all those terms or items will get in the second bracket. Then remember here we have got a B plus, there's no number, which means it's a 1. I think we'll be done with example 6. Now moving to example 7, still the same concept. I group the first 2. Hence, we'll look at 3m, 9n. The HCF is 3 there. When I divide 3m by 3, it gives me m. There's a plus there. I divide 9n by 3, it gives me 3. And close the brackets. I move to the unshaded part where I've got 2mp and 6np. So for 2 and 6, the HCF is 2. Then m doesn't have a pair, then I'll have p. Open brackets. If I divide 2mp by 2p, I'll remain with m plus, if I divide 6np by 6p, 6 divided by 2, it gives us 3. The p's will cancel, we remain with n. And then obviously when we inspect, it looks like within the brackets there's a common term, which is m plus 3n. Then in the first bracket we have 2p plus 3, or 3 plus 2p, whichever way you prefer. Then moving to the last part, which is our last example. Start by grouping again. I've got 4, I've got 12 there. My HCF is going to be 4. X and Y, there's nothing common. Then I open my bracket. So when I divide 4x by 4, I get x. I divide minus 12y by 4, I get minus 3y. Then I'm now on the second part where I've got 2xz minus 6yz. So 2 and 6, the HCF there is 2. When I check the variables xz, yz is z, which is common, then I'll open my bracket. When I divide 2xz by 2z, I remain with x. There is a minus sign. When I divide 6yz by 2z, Well, 6 divided by 2, it gives us 3, and the z's will cancel, I remain with y. And finally, I'll build my two brackets, hence I inspect what's inside the bracket, we'll store it in the second bracket, and the first bracket will have 2z plus 4. I think that was it on factoring by grouping terms, and also factorizing maybe two terms where we're simply looking for a basic HCF. I hope this class was inspiring. We'll meet in the next session.